Hello. So I'm going to try Advent of Code 2021. Every year, Advent Code is sort of a series of programming puzzles over the course of December leading up to Christmas. So I'm going to record some of these. I'm probably not going to be able to record me doing all the puzzles, but I'll try as much as possible. So let's have a look at what the first day one puzzle is, Sonar Sweep. You're minding your own business on a ship at sea when the overboard alarm goes off, and you rush to see if you can help. Apparently, one of the elves tripped and accidentally sent the sleigh keys flying into the ocean. Before you know it, you're inside a submarine the elves keep ready for situations like this. It's covered in Christmas lights, because of course it is, and it even has an experimental antenna that should be able to track the keys if you can boost its signal strength high enough. There's a little meter that indicates the antenna's signal strength by displaying 0 to 50 stars. Your instincts tell you that in order to save Christmas, you'll need to get all 50 stars by December 25th. Collect stars by solving puzzles. 2 puzzles will be made available on each day in the Advent calendar. The second puzzle is unlocked when you complete the first. Each puzzle grants 1 star. Good luck. So yes, there's actually 2 puzzles per day. But those 2 puzzles each day are sort of related. They build off each other. Okay, as the submarine drops below the surface of the ocean, it automatically performs a sonar sweep of the nearby seafloor. On a small screen, the sonar sweep report, your puzzle input, appears. Each line is a measurement of the seafloor depth as the sweep looks further and further away from the submarine. For example, suppose you had the following report. So we get a list of integers. This report indicates that scanning outward from the submarine, the sonar sweep found depths of 199, 200, 208, 210, and so on. Your first order of business is to figure out how quickly the depth increases, just so you know what you're dealing with. You never know if the keys will get carried into deeper water by an ocean current or a fish or something. To do this, count the number of times a depth measurement increases from the previous measurement. There is no measurement before the first measurement. Okay? So we need to count the number of times one integer has increased from the previous integer. In this example, there are 7 measurements that are larger than the previous measurement. How many measurements are larger than the previous measurement? So this is our puzzle input. It's quite long. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy and paste this puzzle input. Go to my text editor. So I've got a file here that I've created, input day 1. I'm going to paste that so we can see there are 2,000 lines. Okay. So first of all, we're going to need to. I'm doing this in C, by the way. So first of all, we are going to need to read this file. So we're going to create a file pointer called fopen. So this is going to open our input day1.txt in read mode. Since we're going to read the file. If we couldn't read the file, we'll just exit with 1. We'll do printf could not open file. But otherwise, what we want to do is, what's the name of the function again? I think it's called fscanf. So what we want to do is we want to scan all characters up until a new line. So this will require a little bit of pattern matching, so basically get everything except for, so \n is the new line character, and then we need to put this into some sort of buffer. So I'll call this line, I'll create a buffer called line, I mean, if we look at this actually, they're never more than 4 characters long. So I could do 4, I'll do 8 just for that sake. Oh, we need to remember to close the file at some point. And for now, I'm just gonna print the first line. So first line, and then I think we're gonna need to include standard IO. Can't we just do and include standard lib? So let's see if this builds. I think we do need H. Let's run it. So let me actually let me move my camera over here so you can actually see the outputs. So you can see first line 159. If we go back to the top, that is correct. So we actually want to move this to an integer. So if we do like int value equals, and the function is a to I. So this line converts the string to an actual integer value. So now we can change this here to value. So we'll build that, run it. So that first value. So we know there's 2,000 of these. So actually we're going to create a buffer of values that's going to be 2,000 long. So I think what we want to do is, while file does not equal end of file, we want to do this. Value index equals 0. So value index equals a to I line, and then we do value index, we increment that. That can go. So we're gonna copy this. So we need to get each new line. So see. I'm just gonna Google this. There is actually get line. I think we can just do this. Right. I'm just trying to figure out how to read line by line. So actually we want to change this to fgets. So we're gonna fgets, we pass in the line, the max line length right now is 8, so we can actually you know, define this as a max line length 8. So we'll change this to max line length, max line length, and then we pass in the file. So let's see, that should work. There we go. And you can see now it's getting each line and it's storing in that. So that's how we do that. So if we remember Advent of Code, we need to check each time it's increased or decreased. So so we got our 2000 values, we increase our value on it. So here we're going to reset this back to 0. And then basically we need to go through, actually we just need to set to 1. And so what we're going to do is we don't need to do that. We're going to say for IDX, the index is 0, while the index is less than, we're going to start at 1, 2000. I'm actually going to define this as max values 2000, so we're not repeating ourselves. And then IDX++. So int our sort of check value is going to be values IDX, and our prev value is going to be values IDX -1. And if our check value is strictly greater than our prev value, it has increased. So we will now need our int increase counter, and our increase counter will increase here. And then if you see that, sorry, I'm going to get rid of that line. And then I'm going to printf count of increases is %i, and we're going to have our increase counter. So let's just check. 1. Now I'm going to call this values count rather than value IDX. I don't know, it just seems more appropriate. And save that. Got it. Count of increases 1583. So let's see if this works. That's the right answer. I got 1 gold star. Closer to finding the slate keys. So let's continue to part 2 of day 1. Part 2. Considering every single measurement isn't as useful as you expected, there's just too much noise in the data. Instead, consider sums of a free measurement sliding window. Again, considering the above example, start by comparing the first and second free measurement windows. The measurements in the first window are marked A, so these 3. Oh, I see. So we compare the first 3, 1, 2, 3, then we compare 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. Got, yeah. The second window is marked B, its sum is 6. The sum of the measurements in the second window is larger than the sum of the first. So this first comparison is increased. Your goal now is to count the number of times the sum of measurements in this sliding window increases from the previous sum. So compare A with B, then compare B with C, C with D, and so on. Stop when there aren't enough measurements left to create a new free measurement sum. Okay. So, slightly more complicated. First of all, I'm going to move all this into its own function. So, I'm going to do void day 1 part 1. So, this basically becomes, we just want to get the values, and then all we care about is values, right? It's not even. So it's basically from here to here. And then this becomes day 1, part 1, values. That works. So then we're going to have a void day 1, part 2. Okay. So we're going to have our increase counter again. And the way I'm going to do this is probably an inner for loop. So for int idx equals 0, idx is less than max values. Is this -3 or -2? Because say we only had 10. Max values, the last one is here, so we'd want to stop 2 before the end, so it's -2, right? And then we'd have another for int so I'm going to call this group, because these are like the free group pairs. So it starts off as group our index starts off as the group number as long as idx is less than group plus 2. plus 3, idx plus plus. So we're going to have a group sum, starts off as 0, and our group sum is going to increment by our IU's IDX. And then if the group does not equal 0, we actually want int last group sum. We want to say our last group sum equals the group sum, and then we want to check the group sum. Basically, if our group sum is strictly greater than the last group sum, then our increase counter goes up. And then we do printf count of free group increases percentage I, and that's our increase counter. So I'll do day 1 part 2, pass in our values. Let's just double check this. I still think this is minus. So this is from 0, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if it's less than 10, 10 minus 2 is 8. So if our group, so this is group 1, this will be group 0, this would be group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, group 5, group 6, and group 7. So yeah, it's minus 3. No, it is minus 2 because this is less than. If it was less than or equals 2, then it would be minus 3. I'll just keep it simple. So let's compile this. It compiles. Let's run it. So count of free group increases. You can see down here it says 1623. Let's see if this works. It's not the right answer. Your answer is too low. If you're stuck, make sure you're using the full input data. Oh, I need to make sure that goes back to that. I don't need to recompile. I can just do that. 627. Oh, yeah. It does this to prevent you from brute forcing the submission thing. 33 seconds. Well, while I wait, let's just double check my logic. So I'm going through each group, summing them. So obviously we don't check the first group because there's nothing to compare it to, but if that, we've got our last group sum and it's greater, we increase that. That looks all fine to me. What was that again? 1627. I think it's been. There we go. I got the right answer. So there we go. That's day 1 of Advent of Code completed. So probably what I'll do for day 2 is start to factor these functions out into their own files. At the moment I'm just putting everything in the main file. This could probably be factored out into its own little file reading function. In fact, I might do that now. This will return an array of r star, which is our file name. Actually, this really should just return like our 0, and we also pass in our buffer. So this would be our values buffer. So we would have our int values, which is our max values, and then we'll do read input. I'm gonna cut this becomes our file name, and this becomes our values. This can now go. It should still compile. Oh yeah, return. Actually, we want to return 1 in this case, return 0 in this case. So then we can say if read is equals 0, we can sort of do printf. Actually, we can just do, if we did read input, then these all there. This close file should now go here. There we go, that works. Okay, because that's already a pointer, we don't need to get an address of that. Okay. Yeah, until day 2. Hopefully I'll get that recorded as well. Thank you so much for watching.